And hey there, hi there, ho there, and hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. Maybe preface it to that today by saying there might be some despair and disillusionment and disappointment in there, but still, we endeavor to bring you news about the sports that we love to watch at UofL women's athletics. A kind of shortened crew today as Jeff and I are manning the broadcast for you. Kind of a return there, old buddy, of the days of the basement on the hill.
Yep.
Broadcasting from WCHQ, where we had the station dog and we also had to park in the back lot. So, fun stuff. But we're back with it again and going to have a good broadcast for you. Some good things to talk about today, despite what happened last night. And if you don't know what happened last night, welcome back out of your coma. We hope that you're getting nourishment and able to move your limbs. But as we like to do at the start of the show, just kind of try to catch up with the participants in the broadcast. And so this will be a brief segment as I'll catch up with Jeff and then talk about me. What's going on in your world, bud?
Yeah, still on the road. Head back to Louisville this week, so we'll be back there. But on the road for now and enjoying. Well, I had been enjoying taunting the rest of you and the Cardinal Couple crew with some good weather and a dip in a swimming pool and at the beginning of March. But it's actually going to be warmer in Louisville today than it is going to be here. So shoes on the other foot now.
I guess I should send a picture of squirrels frolicking in the backyard or something. I don't know.
You don't see squirrels out here, man. That's a type of animal you don't see out here.
So, that wouldn't surprise me, though. I mean,
not really trees like that for them to exist in. So,
how many times have you seen a squirrel in a tall cactus?
Yeah,
probably not too many, right?
Yeah, that's not really hospitable for them.
But they had mentioned earlier, just me and Jeff today. Case had a meeting today that coincided with the broadcast, so he could not be with us. Daryl's recovering from the Tool concert, and I think she's also out chasing a white ball across pastures this morning. So good luck there. Count all your strokes, Daryl. Be fair to yourself. Jared, I would assume, is already down at lacrosse today for the Louisville lacrosse match that will take place against last year's NCAA champions. Boston College comes to town to visit the Louisville lacrosse stadium, and we'll get into all that in just a little bit with scheduling and Twitter. As for me, old Polly here, I'm doing fine. Things are hanging in there. Was a little bit disappointed and kind of disillusioned this morning when I woke up based on the events of last evening, but told myself, hey, it's just a set of steak knives. It isn't the whole china cabinet. The ACC tournament, yeah, it's great to win it. Yes, it's prestigious and all, but the big tournament comes up 8 days from now, the NCAA. So we'll talk about a little bit the ramifications and stuff like that. But as I usually like to do at this time of the show, I turn the scheduling and Twitter over to Case.
Yeah.
Jared, no. Too much to ask out of Jeff. Daryl's not here. I guess I'm going to do scheduling and Twitter today. All right.
Yeah.
So
always an adventure.
Yes, always an adventure. Always fun for me. And certainly bear with me if you need to get a refill on your cup of coffee. Now would be an ideal time to do that. Let's go ahead and roll into Saturday the 5th, where softball is in the Cardinal Classic as they will face Western Michigan today. Actually, this tournament actually started at 10 a.m. this morning with Western Michigan playing Hofstra at the Omer Stadium. Let's see, we've got
four total games today, it looks like, right?
Yeah, looking at 4 total games today. Men's basketball playing Virginia at noon down at the down at the KFC Yum Center, and that should be a good one for the Cards as they end their season, trying to gain a little momentum for the tournament. Louisville lacrosse, as we mentioned earlier, bringing in Boston College at noon at the Louisville Lacrosse Stadium there. Uh, hey, if you're headed on out there, have fun with that one today as we bring in the defending national champions. Uh, Softball events out at Ulmer Stadium continue with Illinois facing Hofstra, and that's Illinois, not Illinois. Facing Hofstra, that one's at 12:30, and we move a little further down the road here. Baseball has Akron at a Jim Patterson Stadium. A 1 o'clock start there. That one's on ACC Network Extra. If you want to watch that, we've got softball versus Western Michigan. Louisville takes the field at 3 o'clock, and then baseball plays again at 4:30. They'll play Akron over at Jim Patterson Stadium. Softball then takes on Illinois at 5:30 at Ulmer Stadium. A busy, busy Saturday here, pal, on that one. Golly, a lot of stuff going on for the Cards on that one. But wish all of them the best of luck today as they go through what they've got to do. And let's see if we can get some wins today, fellas. Let's see what we can do out there.
Yeah.
Moving on over to Sunday, where softball will take on. Let's see, we got Western Michigan starting out today. That's a 9 a.m. start Sunday on that one. Wow. Going to be interesting for that to see how they're playing at 9 a.m. and a lot of rain schedule, I think, for tomorrow later up here. But hopefully they can get that one in. Moving on down the schedule, Louisville takes the field at 11:30 in softball. They will play Hofstra out there. And then women's tennis is at Notre Dame or playing Notre Dame over at the Bass Rudd. That's a 1 p.m. start for that one. If you want to catch a little tennis, go out there and make sure and catch that one to watch our tennis team. Moving it to Monday, we'll take a look here as swimming is in the NCAA diving zones. The diving zones for Ann Arbor, Michigan being the venue for that. That's an all-day event. That'll also continue as we get into Wednesday. As Wednesday, they'll continue those diving zones. Moving quickly here to Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday. Yeah. The 9th, men's basketball begins their ACC tournament. This one being held up in Brooklyn, New York, not Greensboro. As the men will try to win 5 in a row and get a bid to the NCAA tournament. Good luck for them in that.
Mm-hmm.
And that also,
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to get it any other way.
yeah, I'll be happy if they get one win.
Yeah.
But that tournament up there also continues for men's basketball on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. And that is all the events that I'm showing. No, let's see, I can go a little bit further on that. Let's recap back to the 10th here, where softball will play Valparaiso in the Bluegrass Challenge, that being held out at Ulmer Stadium. So that should be some fun there. If you'd like to watch softball, certainly get out and catch those. And then track will be in the NCAA Indoor Championships. Those will be starting on Friday. It'll be the 11th. And that's being held in Birmingham, Alabama all day long. So I think Louisville has 3 participants down there, last I saw for that.
It sounds right. I know there were a few, but I don't know if there were others that I missed.
Yeah,
but I know that
I know they had
several.
Lori Cordy was trying to get a Microsoft Teams or a Zoom interview set up for those 3, but I never saw anything on it. So maybe that'll come later this week.
Yeah.
Men's tennis is in Blacksburg, Virginia, taking on Virginia Tech out there. I wonder if Kenny Brooks will head over to watch that one. And women's tennis down in Georgia Tech for a match at 3 p.m. on Friday. Nell Fortner will be playing Justine Sowery. No, I'm just kidding. Women's tennis will be taking on Georgia Tech down there. Baseball plays Michigan at 3 o'clock on Friday. That one live on the ACC Network. If you can't get out to bed,
game.
That could be a really good game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baseball having some good luck. And then Central Michigan will face softball in the Bluegrass Challenge at 4 p.m. on Friday. Uh, we had determined that Central Michigan was the Broncos,
Mhm.
so not to be confused with Western Michigan or Eastern Michigan. They'll play them at 4 p.m. and then they'll continue to play that day with playing Ohio at 6:30 out at Ulmer Stadium. So a busy day for softball for Louisville on Friday. And unless I'm forgetting something, I have stumbled through scheduling and Twitter.
You did a fine job.
Uh, yeah, we'll resolve judgment on that. The main thing is we've got it done and still plenty of show to go. So just trying to figure out these pluses and minuses on the all sports schedule can be
Hmm.
quite the task sometimes.
Yeah,
But
to expand them out. Yeah.
yeah, uh, yeah, so good stuff going on. If you want to get out and see some live events, certainly it will be your time to do it coming up next week. There's a lot of spring sports will be on campus that you
Yeah.
can go to watch and take
It's,
part of.
it's the fun time of year to start getting out there and enjoy, a spring day at Ulmer or Louisville Lacrosse Stadium or even at Patterson. I'm not as big a fan of baseball, but, it's always fun to get out there and just enjoy it. You know?
It is indeed, and certainly, especially out at Homer, some of the people you see out there and
Yeah.
some of the things that go on out there and some of the fun that's held out there. One of my favorite memories of Homer was watching Jasmine Jones chase down foul balls a couple years ago.
I mean, Jasmine is Jasmine, right? I mean, she's constant hype. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. She was also hyping up the crowd a lot too, which was awesome. It was great to see and a lot of fun.
Was
But
always
yeah,
good at that, yeah. But
yeah,
just seeing her, just like, and not in a demeaning term, but somebody throws a ball for a dog to go after. A ball would land back behind Homer, and Jasmine would dash out of her seat, run down the steps, and go find that foul ball.
yeah, yeah,
So probably told Jeff Walls, I got my steps in today already.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay. But yeah, if you want to follow any of us on Twitter, shame on you. You can do so. And the ways you do that is by absolutely accessing our Twitter accounts. Jeff actually has two accounts that he goes by with Card Couple Radio and also Jeff McAdams, where you can follow the pursuits and the pleasures of Jeff McAdams on Twitter. I win as Cardinal Couple. I only have one account on Twitter where I'll try to keep you updated on Louisville women's sporting activities and also great concerts I've seen in small venues in the past for music wise. If anybody
Yeah, that was a
remembers,
great
yeah,
story you shared. Yeah.
yeah, Robin Trower of all people. Not too many people would remember or know of him. I'm sure in our younger generation, but he was quite the artist back in the mid and late 70s, and I saw him in a venue that held 100 people, and there were only 20 people there. I actually got to buy him a drink afterwards, and we discussed hot browns. Yes, we did. I had obviously had more to drink than Robin, but we still had a fun conversation.
Yeah.
And I found out that, yeah,
We went to dinner here a couple of nights ago. We went to an Italian place down there, and I'd looked at the a little bit side note on this. I looked at the menu online before we went. There was Kentucky Derby pie was on the menu. I'm like, okay, well, you know, Kearns is notoriously litigious about this, so I'm going to mention it to them just to give them a heads up. I get there and it's not on the menu in the restaurant. So I asked about it, and they said, "Yeah, we can't get a hold of them, so they have to take it off the menu." We started talking about it and mentioned that we were from Kentucky, from Louisville, Kentucky, where it was, and the owner, the woman of his owner, was just lit up. She loves coming to Louisville and Lexington. She's does horse stuff, so comes there quite frequently and loves it. And just we had a good old time talking with her about Louisville and the delights of a good hot brown and the general advice to never eat one more than 50 miles away from Louisville. Yeah, it was good. It was a lot of fun.
certainly. So a hot brown topped off with a good Derby pie Well, that's some pretty fine eating right there.
Yeah, for about
And
3 days worth of calories.
yeah, if you're going to be on a vegetable diet the rest of the week, go
Yeah.
ahead and splurge. Yeah, top it off with a cappuccino too while you're at it. Just have some fun. But let's see. Yes, other Twitter accounts that we have here. You can find Daryl at Daryl Faust 4. You can find Case Hoskins at Best Case Scenario. He does not use an E in best, so it kind of reads Best Case Scenario. And then,
You ran out of characters.
yeah, granted characters, it's a Twitter flaw,
Yeah.
but you'll see him tweet occasionally if you want to follow him. And then, of course, you can follow Jared at Mr. Anderson Jared. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can never remember whether it's that or you for Jared, but that's something else. He's
I
got
think
that's
that's
his email,
Instagram.
I think. Yeah, or maybe that. Jared always has some great photos of various UofL sporting events on his Twitter account, and occasionally will take to lambasting one of his fellow writers here at Cardinal Couple about something. So, um, and then of course, make sure and see Jeff's classic photo of him in the water, uh, and also the ensuing conversation that followed. Uh, Let me ask you this: were you able to get out of the water before the shark got to you?
Yeah. No problem. Yeah,
Good deal.
it's there's a pool here at the house, and it was warm enough. Actually water was actually quite warm. Briefly, it was pretty cool the day before, but just had warmed up. There was enough sun on it that it had warmed up, and it was quite pleasant to be in. The challenge was getting out because it was 80 something degrees and a bit of a breeze, but humidity of like 1% or something ridiculous like that.
Oof.
And it was just like you get out and the breeze causes the water evaporation so fast. It was instantly just like, oh, this is cold. I was
That's when
grab
you
this
want the big,
towel and put it over me to block the wind.
the big fluffy towel. Yeah,
Oh,
and definitely get behind a brick wall.
yeah,
So that can be fun. Certainly
yeah.
looking
The-
forward to those days here in Louisville. But we've got you beat today, temperature wise. So
yeah, it's just the subtle things around here, Brent, the humidity that just cause behaviors that you don't expect. I've been dehydrated the whole time I've been out here a little bit. I can't get enough liquids in me, it seems like. So it's been like not seriously, but just a little bit all the time. So it's subtle things. When I did get out of the pool, I was basically dry in 10 minutes. It was
wow,
crazy. Yeah.
we're looking forward to those days here in Louisville.
You don't
Where
get them
we
in Louisville though, because it gets warm in Louisville. It's 97% humidity. So
well, that's true too. Yeah,
yeah,
you stay wet for the next hour. That's right.
yeah. Next day.
But yeah, make sure and follow all of us on Twitter, and certainly we'll follow you back most times as well. So there you go. We'll have some fun with that down the road. But I guess to now move to the meat and bones of the show here, and yeah, while we're here, I had offered earlier that you and I may just forego this whole thing and talk about curling today, but well, since the curling team's not in action, and let's just go ahead and just pull the band-aid off the scab and talk about women's basketball and what transpired last night out in Greensboro Coliseum in the quarterfinals of the ACC women's basketball tournament, where Louisville played very fine basketball for 3.5 quarters. And then once again, the fourth quarter gloom and doom scenario took over as the Cards ended up being on the short end of a 17-0 run, watching Destiny Harden pound them for 15 of those 17 points, including a game winner with 1.3 seconds on the clock. The Cards fall to Miami 61-59, and their ACC tournament run is done, Jeff.
Yeah, barely before it got started, it feels like.
Barely before it got started.
Yeah. Obviously you look at the field goal percentages for the 4 quarters for U of L, and you see it right there, right? In the third quarter they shot over 61%, and then in the fourth quarter they shot 22%, basically. It's went 2 for 9, and that's not gonna get it done. Even with a big lead going into it, that's not gonna get it done. So it's frustrating. I have to take some of the blame for this because I only got to watch part of the game, and basically tuned in about halftime, and then had to leave a little bit into the fourth quarter to go meet up with a former coworker. We were meeting up for dinner. He's out here, and so basically, I got to watch the part where UofL played well, and when I wasn't watching, they didn't play well. So yeah, I guess I have to take some of this one.
Well, one Jeff's already taken the blame for this one.
Sure.
So you might as well join the "It's all on me" blame Jeff club.
Yeah.
Well, basically, the Cards just you know could have won this game if they had done the right things at the end. But you have to give credit to Destiny Harden for having just a career game there
Yeah. 27 points. Yikes.
and just couldn't miss at the
Mm-hmm.
end. And to Miami for realizing she had the hot hand, getting her the
80.
ball,
Mm-hmm.
designing plays for her, and maybe just a little bit due to some of the game management that the Cards fumbled through and stumbled through
Yeah.
the rest of the way.
Yeah. Only two in double digits for Miami. That kind of surprises me. But that's somebody who, Jalea Williams scored 8. But Naomi Mbandu was the only one that was also in double digits with 12. So I mean, it was definitely the Destiny Harden show in that game. But yeah, you gotta play the team that's on the court, not the team that you think is going to be on the court.
The Cards did a good job on Kelsey Marshall, who many consider the prime scoring threat for Miami.
Mhm.
But yeah, with a 15-point lead, Louisville. Uh, and this is painful to kind of recall here, but with that 15-point lead, the Cards had a turnover, followed by another turnover. They missed a three. They saw the lead evaporate to 10. So they called a timeout to talk about it. Came out of the timeout and had another turnover. The lead went to 8. They missed a basket, got their offensive rebound, missed that shot. Miami comes in and scores. It's a 6-point game. The Cards miss a three, then they miss a two, and then they have a turnover. And certainly the final timeout that Miami took, Louisville was unable to stop them. I've had people question, why didn't we just throw the ball as high as we could up in the air? Why didn't we just hand it to the Miami player and say, here, take a half court shot? And no, instead we got called
Yeah.
for a shot clock violation, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, didn't score in the last 5 minutes of the game. Five,
Yeah.
almost 6. That's yeah, that's everybody's calling it a collapse, and realistically, that's really kind of what you have to call it. Um, that was crazy just to see, just completely be ineffective for 5 minutes down at the critical moments of the game. So it's frustrating to see.
And we've seen it before this year, obviously, in the fourth quarter. I still remember the loss to North Carolina State in Raleigh, where our fourth quarter was not a very productive one.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
we didn't really have a very good fourth quarter, to be honest with you, in our final game of the year against Notre Dame,
Mhm.
but had such a big lead,
Yeah. After the first quarter.
yeah, that we
Yeah.
were able to, survive that. The loss to North Carolina, another example where our fourth quarter was not a great one, and it's one of those things. And I was talking with somebody else about this late last night. Is you have to be able to finish what you started.
Yeah.
When you break it down to the simplest denominator possible, if you've gone to all the trouble to build up a lead like this, finish what you started, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Jeff Walls was very to the point in his post game talk. Jeff
Yeah.
indicated it was all on him.
Yeah. Which I'm not sure is really legitimate, but it's interesting. It's all I've always thought it's been interesting to watch Coach Wells throughout the season, no matter like in the early in the season, no matter how good the team plays, there's always corrections and improve. Well, we need to improve this. We're really having problems with this, and you know, and then later in the season, it's all like, yeah, they went out there and played there, where he takes the blame or something else and doesn't put it on the team. And I really think a lot of that is almost kind of a mindset sort of mind games there a little bit of making sure that you've got a lot of time, and when you early in the season you've got a lot of time in the season, you want to make sure that the team is focused and continuing to improve. So you point out, okay, let's did some good things, but here's where we need to improve. Later on in the season, you don't necessarily have to have that time available to do those improvements. So mentally, your perspective is, okay, let's pick this team up, make sure that they're in their best mindset to play their best ball. You look at it and you say, okay, here's what went wrong. We know that. Let's pick it up and go. Um, yeah, and it's interesting to watch him do that. I think it's a good move on his part to do that, but I think it also sometimes comes across as like, yeah, that wasn't all on you, coach. But
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame the rim for
yeah,
you know
two
Keanu
two
Smith's
for
three
nine
that
shooting, and
that
the
should have been there. I mean,
yeah,
Keanu Rim, Keanu Smith took a three that was in and out all the way around, and then just rolled out at the end.
yeah,
9 times out of 10, that's a 3 pointer.
yeah,
Uh,
particularly with her.
yeah,
Yeah,
and one of the other things too that Louisville, their effort was really there throughout the whole game. They just didn't get the shots off that they needed, and they didn't make the defensive stops that they needed to in the final 5 minutes. And if I'm Jeff Walls, I definitely review this with the team. I go over this game film,
yeah,
and I do it twofold. I show them the good things that they did
right,
for the first 3.5 quarters,
right,
but I do spend a great deal of time on that fatal last 5 minutes of the game,
yeah.
and I point that to them.
Yeah, I like it, when I was talking to the volleyball coaching staff, Dana Bestman Kelly, at one point, I asked on one particularly, it's how do you deal with this in the rearview mirror? And her comment, well, I thought it was really neat, and I think it's a good approach to it. She said we watch game film of every game once. We watch it, we learn what we learn from it, and then we go on, right? And sometimes you look at it and you go, hey, this is what we did great. Here's a few little things to tweak. Sometimes you go, oh my God, there's so much to learn there. You work through it, you talk through it, you figure it out, but then you don't go back to it. You don't dwell on it. You don't have that mental, the having that stick in your mind. You say, okay, it's done. And, tear the rearview mirror off is the saying, right? I really like their approach to that. I don't know how Coach Walls does it. I suspect probably similar, but I really liked that from DBK and how they did that. And I hope that's kind of how they take this. There's a lot to learn there, but then you say, okay, it's a new game. What happened in the previous game doesn't matter, and it's still win or go home territory. So let's put it all together and do what we know we can do as a team.
And also, I think in addition to that, which are well, all very good points there, and I hope he does take that approach, is you have to kind of stress to the team, okay, this isn't the tournament I'm worried about.
Right.
Okay, we went down to the ACC tournament. We lost down there. Disappointing for our fan base, our loyal fan base, who made the drive or the flight down there to watch one game and then be
Yeah.
forced with the decision: do we stay to watch the rest of the conference or do we come back home? Uh, our apologies to them. But the tournament that we need to be focused and ready to go for is the NCAA tournament. And it's going to have basically a little more time than in past years to get ready for that. since they're not even doing the selection for it until next Sunday, and then the Cards will
Yeah.
find out whether they've maintained Jeff the number one seed or whether they'll drop to a two seed. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Baylor is probably the one in line to get
Yeah.
that last four seed."
Yeah, and the interesting thing is it doesn't really make that much difference. So if you drop from the last one seed to the first two seed, you're still basically going to be in the same place. You're probably going to be in the same region. You're probably going to be playing most of the same teams. It doesn't make that much difference, really, at the end of the day, for that particular drop. If they drop farther than that, if they drop to the second two seed or something like that, then things start shuffling up a little more. But I don't think that'll happen. So, yeah,
And one of the things that you have to look at too, and that is positioning.
yeah,
Where will the Cards end up? Uh, I see us going to probably, I would think, Wichita if we
yeah,
are a top seed, because we'll, let's be honest with you, we'll probably be the fourth ranked number one seed.
hmm
And you know that they're going to send South Carolina to Greensboro. That's pretty much a
yeah.
foregone conclusion. North Carolina State kind of looks like they might be headed on up to the lovely town of Hartford, Connecticut to start their
Yeah.
NCAA quest.
Somehow they'll find a way to get UConn in that region, but we'll see how. It's not
Oh,
really
gee,
relevant to this discussion, but
would
somehow,
they ever do that? Would the
yeah,
NCAA ever try to
it
put
is.
UConn in Bridgeport? Nah. Yeah, of course they would. And Stanford, of course, will get the West Coast gig. So, but let's look at it this way: if we're going to be the top ranked number two seed, that usually traditionally means we're going to play the lowest ranked number one seed, which would be, I think, in this case, Baylor, and they're going to put Baylor in Wichita, and that's where we'll be ended up anyway. So,
Which
if
isn't
you
a terrible
know,
lineup for us.
of course, before any of that takes place, the Cards do have to win their two guaranteed NCAA tournament games here in Louisville. Well, they'll. Uh, I think the tournaments are running this year Friday through Monday, if I was seeing that correctly. So we don't know yet whether the Cards will have the Friday Sunday slate or the actual Saturday Monday slate. Uh, but obviously, I think we're virtually guaranteed getting the first two home games here at home. The interesting thing will be to see who the NCAA decides to send to Louisville to start at that start of 64 going down to 16. And
Mhm.
of course, another new addition this year, Jeff, is the four teams that will be added to make it a 68 team tournament.
Yeah,
Uh, could be of particular interest to the ACC on how many schools they get into.
yeah, might sneak in another team or two with that as a possibility. Given that I think they're in the seating ranges of around 10, 12, somewhere around in there. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Miami did kind of secure their spot in
yeah,
the NCAA tournament last night. But what say you, Florida State?
yeah. They're
Are
going to
you
be
in or
on
out?
that bubble, right? And do they
Yeah.
sneak on in there with those additional four teams? All right, it's possible.
What say you up in Boston College?
Hmm.
I know you want to be in. Have you done the work necessary to get there? So, all things to be revealed, and we'll know a little more about that, although not officially next Saturday. When we bring you the broadcast, we will have some, we've seen some bracketology already. Charlie Cream, like him or dislike him, is already claiming that Louisville's still a one seed. Uh, and for one of a few
Yeah,
times in my life, I agree with Charlie.
yeah. And his commentary was on the Baylor thing. He said if Baylor breezes through their tournament and doesn't trip up on anything, then at that point maybe Louisville drops to the top two seed. And I don't think that's an unreasonable analysis on it. I'm kind of with him on that. I think he's probably about right there.
Baylor does have Texas Tech up as their next game to play. Texas Tech, probably not one of the best teams in the Big 12 this year, but still, anything can happen on any given day. And then I was trying to take a look here uh, as far as playing Texas Tech earlier in the season. I was trying to come up with, oh yeah, Baylor had beat them 88-80, and that was at Texas Tech back in January, late January. So Baylor has a good team. Of course, the main thing about Baylor this year is there is no Kim Mulkey. She has gone to LSU.
Still making news though.
She entertained the UK fans yesterday with her antics on the sidelines, and only Kim Mulkey could get away with something like that and not get teed up. If it had been Jeff Walls, whoever the official was, would have had one hand parallel and to the other, or vertical to the other end, teed Walls up immediately.
Mm.
Kim did everything but trip the ref. So fun and games with Kim Mulkey down in Bayou Country down at LSU, where she is rebuilt that program pretty fine down there. We'll see what happens. The Cats did win last night, but last I heard, South Carolina is still in the SEC. And guess what, Cats?
Yeah.
You know what? Thanks for coming. Here's some party gifts. We'll see you later. Interesting turn of events, though, for Louisville. I think Jeff Walls has made some comments about he blames himself for not having the right people in at the end of the game, but we've seen this wall substitution pattern pretty much similar to what it was last night
Yeah.
in
Wasn't that much of a change.
so many games this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, you had Alana Smith in there for a little bit near the end. You had Peyton Verhulst in there a little bit at the end. Those are both very good players who have contributed a lot to this team over the season. Can't think you really can find too much fault in that, right?
And Peyton had 5 points. She had a good
Right.
game. Liz
Yeah.
Dixon was doing some good things in the middle in there. I mean, it's we expect to see 9, 10 players play on a regular basis for Jeff.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So I don't know. But Wall's obviously trying to defer some of the heat from the team by taking the blame for this loss, and you have to admire him for that in doing so. But the bottom line is this: the Cards just didn't execute when they needed to.
Yeah.
You learn from it. You go along. Uh, you may have lost the steak knives, but there's still the big prize behind door two. Pick that, right? We'll see what happens for that.
Yep.
So I'm sure that Walls will probably have another presser before tournament time. That could be comical and fun to hear as well.
Yeah.
But
Always.
yeah, Coach Walls is definitely not a dry, boring, and statistical based speaker. So
No. Never accuse him of that.
yeah, so we'll see what develops with that. But in other things that went on yesterday, softball took to the home opener at Homer Stadium with a doubleheader. One game before the basketball game, one game after the basketball game. Jeff the Card started out against Hofstra,
Hmm.
and golly gosh,
I
Hofstra,
thought this was a game that they should win. And it was, I mean, it was close, but yeah, it turned out it was mostly a defensive battle. Scores 1-2 at the end. But Hofstra did win it. It was, I watched some of this, not all of it. Um, I thought we played fairly well. Our offense wasn't there, clearly. Um, weren't making good contact with the ball. I don't know if Hofstra just has a really good pitcher that we ran up against, but I'm not a very good judge of that. But it certainly was not the outcome that I was expecting from that.
a winless Hofstra
Right.
squad coming in here and getting their first win of the year against the Cards. So Louisville kind of went back to the locker room, licked their wounds a little bit, tried to come up with a plan of attack to face Illinois later on in the evening. But when the Cards retook Homer Stadium, they forgot to bring their bats with them
Yeah. Yeah.
against the Fighting Illini, Illinois. holding Louisville to just 3 hits over 5 innings. They get the 8-0 walk-off win
Yeah.
against the Cards, and yeah, you got to be able to hit the ball
Yeah.
in order to obviously score runs and put yourself in the game.
And I know that's something that Holly April has been trying to emphasize and bring on and develop at UofL. We had a number of years there where we didn't have all that impressive offensive output and starting to try to build that back up. Looks like maybe there's still some more work to do. But in general, I like what I see out of the team playing from what little I've watched so far. Let me qualify that. But it's still not there yet. So we'll see how this goes. Um, again, it's a long season. Hopefully, we'll see some improvement over the season as it goes by. But not the most wonderful of starts. We'll say that.
No, not so. And when you take a look at the entirety of this Cardinal team, I think that she has a sufficient pitching staff to get some wins here. Obviously, Taylor Roby, the ace of the staff, but
Mhm.
Chardonnay Harris has had her moments where she's had some very good games this year. Gaby Holloway can be very effective in there when she pitches at times. It's a matter, I think, of just trying to get a team which is pretty new in a lot of positions out there in the field and at the bat, Jeff, behind the pitching staff.
Mhm.
We've I've been endeavoring to try and learn names on this Cardinal baseball or softball roster
Yep.
all season long because we have so many new players out there.
Yeah, a bunch of new faces, including on the pitching staff. We didn't mention Sam Bowie.
And Jared informed me the other day that there's no E on the end of that, even
Oh, it's
though
just
it's
Boo.
spelled
Okay,
it's
is that what it is?
Sambu.
All right, that's not as
And
fun
yeah, it's not
for
as
us
fun as saying
old
Sambu.
timers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that's cool. That's good to know. Like I said, I always like to try to get names right. So, um, yeah, she did pitch in the she pitched an inning in the Illinois game. Um, not bad really. A couple strikeouts. Um, nothing really going against her, but the damage had been done by that point. So, yeah,
Unfortunately, that 8-0 loss brought Louisville to 8-8 on the season, and actually the Cards will now turn around to play again today, and 1 or 2 they start out against Western Michigan, as we'd mentioned earlier. Uh, Louisville actually started out this season with a very fine opening record of I think they were 4-1 at one time, and then they've lost like 7 out of their last 8 games.
yeah, they were 4-1 after the opening weekend, with the only loss to Ohio State, which they're a good team. They're ranked, I believe, when we played them. I don't know currently. Um, 3-2 the next weekend is not terrible. A couple of wins over Villanova, Florida A&M, and the 2 losses that weekend were to top 15 teams, both. So no real shame there. Um, you know, and then the next weekend you play at number 8, number 10 Arkansas 3 times. You get a win in one of those. That's actually pretty encouraging to get a win over a top 10 team. But then I lost to Miami of Ohio, and then 2 losses yesterday is I joked through volleyball season about the Notre Dame team. You never know what you're going to get. I'm starting to think maybe our softball team is going to be a little bit like this. You knock off a top 10 team, but then take a loss to Hofstra. It may not be a bad team, but is not that level of play. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what develops. It's early. There's a lot of season. So
I think the Cards have got a few proven veterans that they can call on in this lineup, but one of the things that strikes me about this team, I think more than anything this year, is just the number of new players in new positions this year.
mhm,
Uh, and whether it be freshmen or whether it be players that came in through the portal,
right.
it takes a little bit of time, I think, Jeff, to kind of get them to congeal into Holly's way of thinking and getting
Sure.
them to perform the way that she wants to see her softball teams play. Uh, it's a long softball season. Make no
Mhm.
mistake about it. And the Cards certainly will have their hands full in conference play as
Yeah.
the newest members to ACC softball,
Are
Clemson
doing
and Duke, are very
quite
good.
well. Yeah.
Uh, Clemson's got maybe one of the best pitchers in the nation down there,
Mhm.
beside being in the ACC. And then, of course, you take a look at Florida State, always a very, very
Always
strong
very
softball
powerful team.
program down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you go ahead and take your lumps now. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead and learn now and get ready for that conference slate because it's going to be a long one and an unforgiving one. But hopefully the Cards will be able to come out and do some good things in it. And just to remind everybody, admission is free
Mhm.
at Ulmer Stadium, except for I think the UK game. I think they
I
charge for that,
believe so. Yeah.
and maybe there's one more they charge for it. But the
Yeah.
vast majority of them are free.
Yeah. Traditionally, it's just been UK. I think that they charged for. So I think like baseball ads in Vanderbilt is another one they charge for, but um, anytime they would play. But softball has not done that. So
Great sight lines if you decide to sit inside the stadium, but
mhm.
a sizable number of people prefer to head to the outdoor berm out there
Yeah,
where you can bring your dog, you can bring
that's right.
your blanket, you can bring your basket and sit out there and enjoy softball from behind the fences. Uh, and it always looks like so much fun out there. There have been times I just wanted to leave the press box and say, all right, I'm spending the final
Yeah.
4 innings
Or
out there.
leave the press box and go love on some dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Watch the dogs run and then, try to avoid foul balls that are coming over the
Yeah.
fence for home runs. Uh, which funny story on that. A few years ago, Sonia almost got one in the lap, not paying attention. We had gone out there just to kind of watch a few innings before me going up to the press box, and somebody from another ACC school put one over the left field fence. We were sitting there, and I'm like, Sonia, look out! Here it comes. Our left fielder was all the way at the fence. No more room to run. It was past that fence, and look out, Sonia! And the ball landed right next to her. So whoever that
Yeah.
batter was, yeah.
Yep.
But there's many things that can have take place out there, and certainly fun out there to go watch Louisville softball play. Hopefully, people will get out and do that. Other things going on campus today. We would be remiss if we did not talk about the Louisville lacrosse program,
That's right.
who off to a very fine
Yeah. Pretty
4-0
good
start
start.
or
Yeah.
4-2 start this year as they went to Colorado and dropped a couple to begin the season, but then are currently getting ready to play their final
Against
game.
two very good teams, let's say, out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Denver's top 15 ranked.
Yeah. Colorado's good.
Colorado's probably knocking at the door of the top 25,
Right.
and certainly a very auspicious way to start the season for Louisville, getting some good opponents in.
Yeah.
And it probably helped them when they came home for the 5-game homestand
Yeah.
because they went 4-0.
Yeah.
And
Got it. And including a win over in conference, Virginia Tech, which is,
yeah,
any ACC win is a good win. So,
and of course, Virginia Tech was our only conference win last year.
right.
So no ground loss there. Good duplication there.
Yep.
It gets a little bit tougher today.
A little bit.
In about 12 minutes, the Cards will entertain number one in the nation and last year's defending NCAA champions, the Boston College Eagles, are in town for a lacrosse match. BC is 5-0 on the season so far, and although I think out of that 5-0, one of them is a conference win. I think they've already beaten Virginia, but Northwestern, they beat Massachusetts, they beat BU, and also beat Brown. And I think only one or two of those was actually at home as they went on the road to play a few of those. But
Mhm.
make no mistake about it, Jeff, this is a very good Boston College lacrosse team. And Scott Teeter has found that he has plenty of willing scorers this year. Uh, Goalkeeping, he's kind of shuffling back between two new goalkeepers back there. The defense with Sarah Blaylock and others has been fairly good for Louisville, but
and also getting some good draw controls out of the squad, which is something that's been lacking for a few years. It's good to see. It's almost like a make it take it sort of a, approach to scoring when you have a good draw control capability in lacrosse. So it's powerful when you have that.
And Teeter has always pointed out, and it's coming to fruition this year, that if you can get a tall girl with long arms in there for the draw control,
It helps.
why
Yeah.
it include it in increases your chances to get in that draw control exponentially. And the Cards have a couple of those this year. I think
Yeah.
McKee, who does a lot of the draw controls, is 6'1" and has arms that stretch all the way from Homer Stadium to Shavli. Long arms.
Yeah.
Uh, the other ones that they bring in there occasionally, most of them are usually pretty tall, but been very impressed with that, and give a lot of credit on that to also Kay Morissette, who is in charge of teaching draw control and working on the finesse of draw control.
And well, she should be as good as she was at it.
Yeah, you
Ooh,
boy, if you were betting against Kay and not getting the draw control,
man.
it would have been a losing proposition for you when
Yeah.
she played here. So always good to start out with the ball, and if you win the draw control, you usually do that. So that's a
Yep.
good thing to do. And the Cards have had some really good scoring this year. Uh, Hannah Morris stands out as one that has had a really good season for Louisville. Let's also, Jeff, take a look at Nicole Peroni, who
Yeah.
hasn't done too badly either. Get in the ball in the net for Louisville. Uh, it's good to have many options when you're on the attack.
Indeed. Yeah. And those two are big. Carolyn Blaylock is a name that we've called in the past a lot, is also scoring quite a few. Allegro Catalano, and even Kokoro Nakazawa is in double digits on the season. So, some pretty good scoring talent there at the top of the list. So um, that's good. Spread offense sort of thing where you're making the defense having to deal with more threats is always a positive.
Of course, one of the things that you look at when you take a look at the total game of lacrosse is that you also have to take a look at, okay, we can score and that's great, but hey, how are we going to do it? Like keeping those other guys from scoring on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Louisville did not have Rachel Floric return this year at goalkeeper, and certainly had been a very fine one for the Cards for the 3 years that she was in there. So Scott Teeter was basically kind of faced with taking a look at, okay, I've got, let's say I've got Adeshi back from last year. She substituted in a couple of times for Floric. She's got a little experience as a sophomore. I can certainly call on her. And Cards also have Jay Peck.
Play. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Pleck. I'm sorry, my eyes were kind of foggy there on me a little bit. Jay Pleck, who is a freshman out of Auburn, Georgia, not Alabama. Auburn, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 5'4" goalkeeper, a freshman who is kind of split time back there with the Deshi.
Yeah, they've each started 3 games. So that kind of tells you, I think, where Teeter's mind is right now, in that it's not in any one particular place. It's kind of back and forth, going, "Well, hey, who's going to be the primary goalkeeper here?" Um, I that still may be unsettled. We'll see that as the season goes on. Maybe they end up still splitting a lot of time, but it's usually you see a coach will settle into one or the other over time.
And certainly, it doesn't hurt to have that backup goalkeeper
Yeah,
because
for sure.
although Rachel Floric very rarely turned in a poor performance when she was here, it's always good to know that now this year, let's say Pleck didn't get in the done. Well, okay, let's try Sarah for a quarter and see how she
Right.
does in there. It gives Teeter some more options back there as far as stopping the opponents on the attack. Of course, another thing on that too is how good is your defense doing in things of this nature? What are you all doing as
Right.
far as actually preventing the ball to get to the goal back there?
Yeah, it's like we talked about with Gabby Cazelas in soccer. Is you don't want her to get a lot of stops. Ideally, you want to stop the ball before it gets to that point. But it's you want that good last line of defense in there, so they get a lot of attention for it.
And I think the Cards do have certainly some very good players who can do that. Uh, uh, obviously Sarah Blaylock comes to mind right off the bat as a veteran returner. In her fifth year now, as one that can help back on that back line and prevent some things
Mhm.
from actually getting to the goalkeeper. She does a very fine job there. But other Cards as well are stepping in there as that last line of defense before the ball heads toward the goal. Uh, I think one of the things that I do like about this Cardinal team this year, and just having not been out there live yet, but watching them on ACC Network Extra and such, is that they are really, really just fired up about getting off to big starts and
Yeah.
really attacking aggressively at the start of a game. And you have to love the encouragement that you're seeing out of that for
Hmm.
Louisville, as they just go after it. You know,
Yeah.
there's no let's pass it around here and use up the shot clock. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
We're gonna drive.
Getting scores within the first double digit number of seconds of a game, under a minute is usually a good sign of that's okay. Go time. Let's go right now, right now, right now. And seeing some success with it is always a positive.
Yeah, because if you take a look at Louisville's latest win, which was over Butler, a 22-8 win. I think the Cards had 8 first quarter goals in this one.
Yeah. Yeah. It
They
came out
were
hot.
just firing away at the Butler Bulldogs goalkeeper. And so let's be honest. It would be a major upset if the Cards were to knock off Boston College
Hmm.
today. Uh, you certainly have to hope for the best, but it's a tall forest with a lot of dense timber there, pal.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a good day. Weather looks pretty nice from what I can see from three quarters of the way across the country. Um, Maybe a little warm, but they can deal with that. But stay hydrated and all of that. But yeah, it's a good day to get out there and watch some lacrosse. Hopefully, Jared will get some good pictures for us.
Certainly, when you look at BC and what they bring to the table now, they do have their leading scorer back from last year. She also won the 2021 T. Wharton Award. Charlotte North, who is currently second in the ACC with 29 goals this year in their 5 games. That's some pretty nice numbers there.
Yeah,
And she also leads the nation with an average of 5.5 a game. Uh, they
jeez,
also
it's a lot.
return yeah, that's incredible. They also return their goalkeeper from the last 3 years, Rachel Hall. Hall, a very, very good goalkeeper who shut Louisville down last year in the last meeting between these two schools, which was 18-3 up at Boston College. Hall has already got 21 saves on the season this year. So Cards going uphill in this one. In the series history, Jeff, we're 1-8 all time against Boston College. Uh,
Yeah, our series records versus any ACC team are generally not going to be that great. As a team that's still kind of building out its and rebuilding out its presence. But you watch again, like I said last week, you watch this team, and year over year, particularly under Teeter's tutelage, they're a little bit better every time you see them. So it's just that is obviously you'd love to jump out and win a national championship, but that's probably not in the cards right now. But if you see improvement, it's like okay, I'm okay with that. Let's keep improving, continuous improvement, and get there over time. Build a solid program in the process.
and to give the Cards credit, they did play Boston College twice last year.
Right.
In that first game, Louisville lost a heartbreaker in overtime,
Yeah.
14-13 to the Eagles, and they had actually held Charlotte North to just one goal
Yeah.
in that first
That's an
contest.
impressive outing. Yeah.
And so if they can channel that team
Right.
back, the chances could be pretty good for Louisville, indeed. But hey, one of the things that I think this Louisville team needs to do is make sure that they just don't get themselves into any situations where they're stagnant on offense and passing the ball. and passing the ball instead of driving to
Yeah.
make goals. Because lacrosse is a funny sport like that, pal. You got to be able to score to win.
Yeah, and we talk about the comparison between lacrosse and basketball, and it's the same sort of thing. You're sitting there passing the ball around the perimeter, not getting any penetration, not getting any pressure on the offense, letting them just sit back and pack it in and pass around the outside. That's not going to lead to much success. You gotta get some penetration. You've got to get shake that defense up a little bit to be able to be able to generate offense well.
So certainly wishing them the best indeed on this today, as it's probably getting close to getting underway now and there.
Yeah,
And lo and behold, taking a look at my trusty clock on the wall, we have reached the noon hour, sir.
indeed.
Uh, certainly,
It's 10 o'clock.
yeah, 10 o'clock for you. So
Yeah,
go ahead, order room service. Go ahead
it's
and
it's been weird because like I didn't reset the clocks on all my like laptops and stuff, and they don't reset themselves for location because they don't. So I look at my phone and the phone says 10 o'clock. I look at the laptop and it says noon. So it's like, okay, which one is that on? You know?
if I'm in so and so, it must be this time zone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you got to remind yourself on. But yeah, certainly. Uh, Final thoughts, between just the two of us here. I don't know. My final thoughts are this, and I'll go ahead and let you kind of formulate yours. But Cardinal fans, do not take this loss to Miami like it's the end of the world. The sky is not falling. This is a basketball team that lost 4 games all year. This is a basketball team that's been ranked in the top 5 all year. This is a basketball team who may have had a burp during a meal, but it doesn't mean they've got to leave the table. They're still very, very strong. They're very unified. They're very focused. And it'll be very nice that they'll have the comfort and security of the KFCM Center for 2 games in the NCAA tournament. And as Katie Meyer said after talking to Jeff Walls after the game, this may be very well the last game you all lose this season.
Mm,
I can see you winning 6 in a row
yeah,
after this.
yeah.
Very nice words from a coach
That
who
is
just had
that's
a
great.
monumental victory.
Yeah,
But that's the kind of gal Katie is. She's great to
yeah.
talk to, and have had the chance to interview her exactly once, and had a wonderful time talking to her and recalling her days at Duke when she played basketball for the Blue Devils.
Mm.
And she goes, "Yeah, that was quite a few pounds and a few hair dyes ago." So, but certainly good luck to them the rest of the way out. But do not give up on this Louisville Cardinal basketball women's basketball team, y'all, because they still got some playing to do. All right, Jeff, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, maybe one of my biggest regrets of taking this trip out here for the past couple of weeks has been that I don't get to be in Ulmer today. It's I have absolutely enjoyed my time out here, rapidly coming to a close, but and I'm ready to get back to Louisville and enjoy being back home for a bit. But man, I really wish I could have been there to be out at Ulmer today and what looks like it's going to be a fabulous day out there. Get out there and check out the team. Cheer them on. They've got definitely have a tough game later on against Illinois. So get out and support them and just enjoy a beautiful day out at the park.
Go out and have some fun in the sun. That's exactly
Mhm.
right, because the rain could move in later on tonight, but certainly right now it is an absolutely gorgeous day, and going to be even more gorgeous by 3 p.m.
Mhm.
So we encourage you to head on out to Omer and catch the action out there. So, hey, I want to thank everybody for listening today. We've had a fun show. We will be back with you again next Saturday at 11 a.m., unless you know something we don't, for another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Everybody take care.